My name is Beatrice. I'm an organizer, a mom, a godmama, an auntie, a caregiver, and like many other parents and caregivers across the country, I want our schools to be safe. But too often we assume that the regular presence of police in schools is synonymous with safety when it's not. As a country, we've become dependent on police in deeply concerning ways, and this is true in our schools too. The reality is there's no evidence that shows that police in schools improve school safety. Instead, what we find is police do what they're trained to do, which is detain, handcuff, and arrest. And more police leads to more arrests naturally. From 2013 to 2018, 300,000 children in the US under the age of 12 were arrested. That's a 6-year-old handcuffed for having a temper tantrum, a high school student body slammed down to the ground after asking if he could call his grandmother. The same racial bias that we see in communities of color is the same racial bias that we're seeing in schools. Black, Latinx, and low-income students are arrested at significantly higher rates, and students with disabilities are 3 times more likely to be arrested than their peers. This criminalization of our kids is unacceptable, and the kicker is that we're paying for it with our tax dollars. We've become so used to schools having to make these draconian cuts, while hundreds of millions of dollars are being poured into police in schools. This amounts to 14 million students being in schools where there's a cop, but no counselor, no social worker, and no nurse. This is a question of values and how we fund our future and not our fears. School budgets, like all budgets, are moral documents. When we choose police and armed guards over counselors, nurses, and what students really need, we're sending a clear message where our values lie. The school districts across the country are hearing the call from parents and teachers and community members to stop rubber stamping police contracts into our school budgets. You can help influence how your elected representatives distribute and redistribute public school funds into what students truly need. Join us in creating the type of school environment where all children can learn, grow, and flourish. Join us in demanding the removal of all law enforcement from our schools, and instead investing those resources into nurses, counselors, social workers, and student supports that help all students thrive.